Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about how in-flight Wi-Fi works. So the basics that I'm going to be covering today is what made Wi-Fi's on plane become such a trend over the years. It's a lot more common to see Wi-Fi on all types of plane, whether commercial or on private. And the next topic that we'll be discussing is what makes Wi-Fi possible at such high speeds and altitudes. Um, the next thing after that would be who provides these Wi-Fi services while on flights. Is it the airlines themselves, or do they have third-party providers? And then after that, we'll discuss the typical in-flight connection speeds and costs. These will, of course, vary. You're uh, in 30,000 feet of air, and the connection speeds and the costs, of course, can vary. And then lastly, we'll discuss the pros and cons of Wi-Fi on planes. So what made Wi-Fi on planes become a trend? So one of the biggest thing is a lot of people know that it's a requirement basically for everyone to be connected at any given time. A lot of people have a hard time being disconnected. So of course, if people are able to stay connected, people will pay for it. And that goes into my next bullet point of uh, airlines are trying to increase their profits. So this is a business tactic that a lot of people are okay with. They're okay with paying money to use Wi-Fi services while in their flight, and the next thing would be convenience. So of course you're going to be able to stay connected. This helps increase productivity, whether you're a business traveler or just going on a flight for leisure. And then, so that'll go into my next topic of how is it possible to have Wi-Fi on a plane. So there's two types of connections. The first one is going to be ATG, which stands for air to ground connections, and the next one will be a satellite connection. So we're going to go into a little bit more depth about these. On the right side here, you have a photo of a satellite connection antenna being installed onto an aircraft. So we'll start with A2G, air to ground connections. An air to ground connection is basically where you have, like in this diagram, you have a plane flying over the sky, and there is an antenna installed on the bottom of the plane that shoots down a signal to the ground, and the signal needs to reach a cell tower on the ground, and then it sends the signal back, and that's how cell service is provides a Wi-Fi on uh, planes. This is typically used mostly on domestic flights because, of course, these cell towers are on the ground, so you don't really see ATG connections when flying abroad or over the ocean, for instance. And then we also have satellite connections, which are mostly used for uh, flying internationally or over the ocean, where connections would be a lot harder to reach. Basically, there's two types of connections when it comes to satellite connections. There's the K8 band and there's the KU band. The first one we'll go into is the KU band. This is a satellite-based connection that has a much wider cover area of coverage. You can be connected while you're over either land or the ocean, and the antenna is actually on top of the plane. That way, it can point towards the satellite, and then that satellite connects to a cell tower on a ground nearby, and that cell tower receives data and sends data back to the satellite and back to the plane, and that's how you develop a Wi-Fi connection while overseas or while flying overseas or even on land. And then we're going to get into the Ka band, which is actually one of the fastest available connections. So what airlines that do provide this are JetBlue, Virgin America, and United. It's actually powered by the Viasat 1 satellite, which is, believe there's two now, and they serve areas like America, Canada, even Europe, and they're of course expanding, and it can support up to speeds of 70 megabits per second, whereas the KU band can support speeds up to only 30 to 40. So The Ka band is definitely the more faster one, and it's also was used in military communications as well. And again, this is also used on international flights. So who provides these in-flight Wi-Fi services? So the biggest one is GoGo. For those of you who have flown a lot, you'd probably see this one the most. It varies depending on what airline you fly. And then there's Global Eagle, which is the second biggest one. There's FlyFi, and there's Viasat, which is actually headquartered in Carlsbad. So they're pretty close to us here in San Diego. So who provides in-flight Wi-Fi? Um, so again, like I was saying, GoGo provides 58%. The airlines that it supports this is based out of 2018 are Alaska Airlines, American Airlines, Delta, United, and then 14% of in-flight Wi-Fi is supported by uh, Global Eagle, which covers all of Southwest. And again, these flights or all of these airlines are these are the top 7 airlines of 2018. So then we're going to get into FlyFi, which is 14%, and that would cover all of JetBlue. And then there's Viasat, which covers most of Virgin America. So domestic airlines with the best speed, and this is based off of statistics in 2018. You can see that Delta and Virgin America are tied for 15 megabits per second, and then there's JetBlue, which is 12 megabits per second, Southwest 10 megabits per second, uh, Alaska Airlines 9.8, American, United also 9.8 megabits per second. So these are the top domestic airlines. And then we're going to get into the availability and pricing of these top 7 airlines in 2018. So these numbers have probably changed a bit now that we're in 2019. But JetBlue has 100% availability across all their airlines or aircraft, sorry, and they have free Wi-Fi, so that's very convenient, and that's probably why they're number one. And then there's Southwest, which has 90% availability at a cost of $8. Delta 98% availability at a cost of $16. Uh, Virgin America also has 100% at $25, which is definitely on the pricier side. And then Alaska $16 at 75% availability. American Airlines 80% availability at $19. United Airlines 85% availability at $20. So, so is in-flight Wi-Fi secure? The thing that they say is you should treat in-flight Wi-Fi just as you would at a coffee shop or a hotel. So you can never be too secure. You use it at your own risk. There's a high possibility that your information can be stolen by someone either on the flight or even not on the flight, because that connection is a public connection. So this goes into my last presentation where I highly emphasize the use of VPNs. So using a VPN would definitely help keep your connection secure. And there have been reports a passenger on American Airlines has been hacked before, and that person who hacked them actually just walked up to them and told them that their emails and other confidential data was stolen, and they actually read their emails to that person verbatim. So it's definitely important to have a VPN or definitely keep some kind of secure connection while you're flying abroad. So pros and cons of in-flight Wi-Fi. I think the biggest one is obviously convenience. This is especially useful for business travelers, people who are constantly on the go, who aren't on land as much. These people are able to, conduct business while in the air, and it just makes everything a lot easier for them. It helps, increase their profits if you think long term, and it also helps keep passengers entertained on long haul flights. Uh, some flights don't have TVs built in, so they can use their smart device and connect to things like Netflix or other streaming services that help pass time for passengers. And then when it comes to cons, it can be very costly. In my previous slides, you guys saw how costly it can be, which of course varies on airlines. But yeah, those costs definitely add up, especially if you travel frequently. I know there are some subscription plans, but at the same time, it does add up a lot, and that's goes into my next point. Speeds have been reported to be very slow, so a lot of people are kind of in this jumble that is it even worth it, because I'm paying so much for Wi-Fi on a plane, but my connection either drops or just super slow. And that'll go into my next point is it's not always available on all planes, especially as the years go by. Of course, they're going to be installing them on more and more planes, but that of course takes time. And by the time they get installed, the technology usually gets old, so they're constantly updating. So it's kind of this chain reaction or slow chain reaction that you're starting off with slow Wi-Fi, and it takes years to update and to get faster speeds. And that's going to be it. If you guys have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave your questions in the discussion board.